Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين حبيب إله العالمين أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد
اللهم صل على محمد
وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. أعظم الله أجورنا وأجوركم بمصابنا بالحسين عليه السلام وجعلنا وإياكم من الطالبين بثأره مع وليه الإمام المهدي من آل محمد عليه وآله السلام. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
What I'd like to do in the time that I have with you, about 20 minutes to half an hour, I'm going to recount some of the stories that took place on the day of Ashura. Right? It starts a little bit before with some of the interchanges between the Imam and the Kufans, and then takes us step by step through some of the events until we get to his own Shahada. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the days leading up to the battle, Imam al-Hussein addressed the Kufan army many times and in many ways to awaken their numbed conscience. In one such address, he mounted his camel and rode toward the Kufan army. The camel, the Imam had several mounts that he would take. The horse that he had, the Janah, was his war mount. As he was riding into battle, he would ride that. When he rode the camel, that was a sign that he was coming out for discussions and negotiations and to try to call them to the path, not as a warrior. In a clear and resonant voice, he said, "I ask you before God, do you know that my grandfather was the messenger of God?" They muttered in unison, "Yes, we know." He said, "I ask you before God, do you know that my mother was Fatima, the daughter of Muhammad?" They muttered in unison, "Yes, of course we know." He said, "I ask you before God, do you know that my father was Ali, the son of Abu Talib?" They said, "Yes, we know." He asked, "I ask you before God, do you know that my grandmother was Khadija, the daughter of Khuwaylid, the first woman to join this nation as a Muslimah?" They muttered, "Yes, we know." He said, "I ask you before God, do you know that the foremost of the martyrs, Sayyid al-Shuhada, Hamza, was my father's uncle?" They said, "Yes, we know." He said, "I ask you before God, do you know that this sword, do you know that Ja'far, who flies in paradise, Ja'far al-Tayyar, who flies in paradise, was my uncle?" They muttered, "Yes, we know." He asked, "I ask you before God, do you know that this sword, which I now have in my belt, is the sword of the Messenger of Allah?" They said, "Yes, we know." He said, "I ask you before God, do you know that the turban of the Prophet that I now wear upon my head is the turban that belonged to my grandfather?" They said, "Yes, we know." He said, "I ask you before God, do you know that my father Ali was the first person to join this nation as a Muslim, the most vast in knowledge and the greatest in forbearance, and that he has primacy, wilayah, he has primacy over every believing man and woman?" They said, "Yes, we know." He then asked in exasperation, "Then why do you deem it lawful to shed my blood, when my grandfather is the guardian of the pool, when he will ward off certain people from the pool as one wards off a diseased camel from a watering hole, and when the banner of praise will be in the hand of my father on the day of judgment?" They replied, "We know all of that. Nonetheless, we shall not leave you until you taste death and thirst." One evening, he sent Amr ibn Qarada al-Ansari with the following message to Umar ibn Sa'd: "I wish to speak to you this night. Meet me between my tent and your tent." So along with 20 riders, Imam Hussein rode out to the rendezvous to meet with Umar ibn Sa'd. He only allowed his brother Abbas and his son Ali Akbar to remain by his side. He told the rest of his horsemen to go to the side, to leave them. Umar similarly ordered his men to halt at a distance, and he allowed only his son Hafs and his servant Lahiq to remain by his side. So the three of Imam Hussein's camp and three from Umar's camp, they came together in the darkness at night to meet secretly. Imam Hussein told Umar, "Do not fear God, to whom is your certain return. Will you fight me when you know whose son I am?" Umar, leave these people and join with me, for this will be better for you in God's eyes. Right? Even at that point, even after all that he's seen from Umar, he knows that they have a long history back. They're both from Medina. They know each other from Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas' time. He was one of the companions of the Prophet who was a thorn in the side of Imam Ali alayhi salam, and now this is his son. Generation after generation, they've known each other. Despite all that, the Imam wants his best interest. He wants to guide him, wants him to come over to his own side to save his soul, not to save the Imam. Umar said, if I do, I fear that my land will be taken from me. Right? Ibn Ziyad had made all sorts of threats against life and property and everything for the people in Kufa, and they were under this sort of threat. So he says, if I join you, that's fine, but I'll lose my land. Hussein said, I will compensate you with lands better than what you currently possess out of my own private holdings in Hijaz. I will give you al-Baghira. This Baghira, it was a fertile land that was full of date palms and crops. And at one point, Muawiyah had come and offered 1 million gold pieces, 1 million dinar for this piece of land for Imam Hussein, and Imam Hussein refused to sell. So it was worth at least that, if not much more than that. He said, I'll give you that. I'll give you that whole land of Baghira in Medina. You can have it. Umar said, I have my family. I fear for their safety. Imam Hussein said, I guarantee their safety. Umar remained silent after this. When Imam Hussein received no answer, he said sternly, what is wrong with you? May God soon slaughter you while you sleep. May He not forgive you your sins on the day that you were raised and brought before Him. By God, I hope that you will not taste the wheat of Iraq much longer. Right? He was saying it, he's saying, may you die soon. May you only taste the wheat of Iraq for a few days and then be killed. Umar said mockingly, if not wheat, there is always barley. With that, the talks ended abruptly and each returned to his camp. When the time for Fajr approached, Imam Hussein sent his son Ali al-Akbar at the head of 30 riders and 20 infantrymen to retrieve water for wudu. This is on the morning of Ashura. They were unsuccessful in their mission, so Imam Hussein ordered his troops to do tayammum in place of wudu because of the dearth of water. Then they prayed in jama'ah, in congregation. Imam Hussein ordered a tent to be erected for privacy. He brought out a store of depilatory powder, nura. It's this powder like nair. Has a very foul smell that you use to take hair off of your body. He had a box of that was infused with musk to mask the odor. So it's perfumed nura to remove body hair. Then he entered into the tent to groom himself for battle by removing the hair on his body. One by one, this became like a locker room. They would each go into the tent and they would put this nur on their body, remove their hair. It was one of the ways to prepare for shahada, to prepare for battle. Burayd ibn Khudayr and Abdul Rahman ibn Abd Rabbihi al-Ansari stood in line outside the tent. And imagine Imam's inside doing this, and these people the other soldiers are lining up outside, hoping to be the next after the Imam to be able to go in and do this. While they waited, Burayd began joking with Abdul Rahman. Right? Just picture that. The morning of Ashura, death is certain, and Burayd starts joking. He starts joking around with him. Abdul Rahman looked quizzically at Burayd and said, Burayd, are you laughing? This is hardly a time to be laughing. Burayd sobered a little and said, my people know that I never was one to joke, neither as a young man nor as an adult. I only laugh now because of my elation at the thought of where we are heading. All we have to do is meet these people in battle with our swords drawn. We fight them for a few minutes, and then we enter the embrace of wide-eyed huris in paradise. As they prepared for battle, Imam Hussein called his soldiers to fall into ranks. According to one report, he had 32 cavalry and 40 infantry, so 72 in all. According to another report from Imam al-Baqir, he had 45 cavalry and 100 infantry, 145 soldiers. He assigned Zuhair ibn al-Qayn to command the right flank. He assigned Habib ibn Mudahir to command the left flank. He gave his standard to his brother Abbas, and he positioned himself with his family in the center with all the tents behind them. Behind the tents during the night, he had made his men dig a semicircular trench. They had filled the trench with wood and dried reeds. They now set fire to the trench to guard against a rear attack. Umar sent out a regiment. Right? This isn't a battle where they're going into death recklessly. It takes every single precaution to strategizes, looks at the landscape around, sees where possible attacks can be launched by the enemy, and guards against all of that. It's a war to win. He's fighting this as though he's heading into victory, not into certain defeat. Umar sent out a regiment led by Shimr ibn al-Jawshan for reconnaissance. They circled around Hussein's camp. This regiment, they circle around to see what's happening and how is the layout of the camp. When they saw the fire burning in the trench, Shimr called out, "Hussein, are you so eager to enter the fire even before the day of judgment? It looks like you're eager to enter hellfire. You're rushing it. Just wait until we kill you, then you can enter hellfire," he says. When Imam Hussein recognized him as Shimr, he yelled, "You are more deserving of the fire than I." At this, Muslim ibn Awsaj drew an arrow to strike Shimr. Imam Hussein stopped him. Muslim begged, "Let me strike him. He is a miscreant from among the enemies of God and one of the leaders of these oppressors. God has given me a clear shot at him. Just give me the word and I'll shoot him. He's dead." Imam Hussein said, "Do not shoot, for I do not wish to be the one to begin this fight." Once again, Imam Hussein mounted his camel and rode out toward the Kufans. He said, "O people, listen to what I have to say, and do not rush to fight me until I have admonished you, as it is your right upon me to do. Your right upon me. I have an obligation to admonish you, and let me do that. And until I justify myself for having come here. If you accept my justification, and accept what I say, and you act fairly with me, then you will be the better for it, and you will realize that you have no excuse to fight me. If, on the other hand, you do not accept my justification, and are not fair with me, then I dare you as Noah once dared his people. He said, conspire together, along with the idols you believe to be God's partners, and let nothing of your plan cause you the least remorse. Then carry it out against me without giving me any respite." Right? The meaning of this verse is, once the hujjah is complete against the enemy, they, the Prophet Nuh alayhi salam and Imam Hussein in this case, they want them to have no holes barred. Right? Once it's clear for them that they are not going to accept the truth, and they've decided on the path of enmity to the Ahlul Bayt, then they want to fight them in the worst possible way and die in the worst possible way at the hands of the worst possible of creatures. And so once you've decided not to listen to any admonishment, then do as you like. Bring it on full force and give us everything you have so that we can reach the highest levels and the closest to Allah. My protector is God, Imam Hussein says. He quotes another verse in Surah Al-A'raf. My protector is God who set down the book. He is the protector of the righteous. He continued, praise is for God who created this world as a fleeting abode, which changes along with its denizens from one state to another. He is truly deceived who is deceived by it, and he is truly wretched who is misled by it, by the dunya. So let this temporal world not fool you, for she only disappoints those who place their trust in her, and deserts those who desire her. Right? He's not talking about politics or anything at this point. He's not talking about his power and come and join me and I want to rule and I want your allegiance, these sorts of things. Like, this is for your own good. You have been fooled by the dunya. These people, Ubaydullah and Yazid and all these people, all they can offer you is dunya. And that too is haram dunya. Right? If you're going to be fooled by that, then God help you. If you can see through the ruses of the dunya, you'll see that they have nothing and I have everything to offer you. I see that you have conspired on an affair through which you have angered God. He has turned his gracious face away from you and is prepared to release upon you his wrath and strip you of his mercy. What a wonderful Lord is our Lord, and what terrible servants are you. You believed in the messenger Muhammad, and then you march against his progeny with the intent to kill them? Satan has gotten hold of you and made you forget God. May God destroy you in all that you desire. From God do we come, and to him is our return. You are a people who have denied truth after believing it. Damn you, O oppressive people. He continued, I only come to you after your letters reached me. You said, the Prophet's sunnah has died. And this is he's paraphrasing the content of all those 18,000 or 12,000 letters that had come from Kufa asking him to come. You said the Prophet's sunnah has died. Hypocrisy has shown its head. that God's laws have been cast aside. So come to us so that God can reform the Muslim nation through you. If now you think otherwise, Imam Hussein says, I'll return. If you've gone back on your opinion, no problem. I'll go back to where I came from. We can pretend that none of this ever happened. Then he said, O people, recognize who I am. Then look within yourselves and be ashamed. Reflect whether it is lawful to murder me and trample my rights. Am I not the son of your prophet's daughter, and the son of his successor and cousin? Am I not the son of the first Muslim, the great confirmer, the Siddiq, the real Siddiq, right? The Siddiq al-Awwal, Imam Ali alayhi salam. Am I not the son of the great confirmer, the Siddiq of God's messenger and his message? Is Hamza, the foremost of the martyrs, not my uncle, not my father's uncle? Is Ja'far al-Tayyar not my uncle? Has the Prophet's following statement regarding me and my brother not reached you? That these two, Hassan and Hussein, are Sayyida Shababi Ahl al-Jannah. These two are the foremost of the youth of paradise. What about his statement, I leave behind you two precious legacies, two thaqalain, the book of God and my progeny, my household. Right? He quotes these two hadith and says, do you not remember these two hadith that were mentioned about me, my brother, and our Ahlul Bayt? If you affirm what I say, and it is the truth, for I have never told a lie, because I know that God hates the liar, so be it. If you accept it, so be it. And if you think that I am lying, you don't take my word for it, fine, ask people amongst yourselves. In Kufa, or back in Medina, you have people amongst yourselves. He says that there are those amongst you whom, if you asked, they would tell you that what I say is true. Ask Jabir ibn Abdullah al-Ansari, back in Medina, the blind companion of the Prophet. He's been there since the time of the Prophet. He heard these words. Go ask him. Abu Sa'id al-Khudri, Suhail ibn Sa'd al-Sa'idi, Al-Bara ibn Azib, Zayd ibn Arqam, Anas ibn Malik. Right? Ask any one of these people. They've been here since the time of the Prophet. They heard him say these things. They'll testify. If you don't take my word for it, take their word for it. They will all testify that they heard the Messenger of God say this about me and my brother. Is there not enough in this to prevent you from shedding my blood? Then he said, if you have any doubt regarding this, do you doubt that I am the son of the daughter of your Prophet? Right? Say if you don't accept the hadith, neither from me nor from the other companions of the Prophet, can you deny my lineage, the fact that I have this relation with the Prophet? By God, neither in the east nor in the west will you find a son of a prophet's daughter beside me. Are you seeking to kill me in retaliation for some murder I have committed? Right? What causes you to have this vengeance against me? You want to kill me in such a terrible way. Have I hurt you in any way? Have I killed someone and you're taking retaliation on me because I've killed someone? Of course not. Or to recover some property I've stolen. Have I stolen something, now you want it back? No. Or in retaliation for some injury I've inflicted. Now he gets personal. He says, Shabath ibn Rub'i, Hajjar ibn Abjar, Qais ibn al-Ash'ath. Right, you particular people, Zayd ibn al-Harith. These are four particular people who are Muslim munafiqeen of Kufa, who are some of the first to write letters to Imam Hussein. He has the letters with him with their signatures on it. So he calls them out by name and he says, these are also people, by the way, who wrote to Yazid. Right? With Umar ibn Sa'd, Shabath ibn Rabi, and these people, they wrote to Imam Hussein, and then once they saw the tides returning, they wrote to Yazid and told him as well, as informants, hoping that they could play it both ways. If Imam Hussein wins, so be it, they're the allies of Imam Hussein. If Yazid wins, so be it, they're allies of Yazid. Right? These are the people he's talking to now. He says, did you not write letters to me saying, come to us, for the fruit is ripe. Code word for we're ready for you. The fruit is ripe. You will find here an army prepared to fight for you. Jundun mujannada. There's an army prepared to fight for you that's waiting here. So come. These men denied having written such a letter. Right? Outright said, I have no idea what you're talking about. We never wrote such a letter. He has the evidence. They say no. Imam Hussein said, may God be exalted. Subhanallah, you did, by God, do so. Then he said, oh people, if you do not want me here, then let me turn back and go to some safe place on God's vast earth. Qais ibn al-Ash'ath said, this is the son of Ash'ath ibn Qais. Right? This family is mal'oon upon mal'oon upon mal'oon. This family is so infamous. The father of Ash'ath ibn Qais was one of the munafiqeen of Kufa. He was at one time a companion of Imam Ali and an ally of Imam Ali, so there's some favorable ahadith we have in Al-Balagha between, he was sick one time and Imam Ali went to visit him, and these sorts of things. But he ended up becoming one of the thorns in Imam Ali's side, joined the Khawarij, was a leader of the Khawarij against Imam Ali at Nahrawan. His daughter, Ju'da, married Imam Hassan and eventually killed her, conspired with with Muawiyah. His son, one son, Muhammad ibn Ash'ath ibn Qais, was the one who was in charge of the army or the battalion that was sent to capture Muslim ibn Aqil. He made false promises to him, said, guarantee you safe passage and all this stuff. And as soon as Muslim put his arms down, he captured him, took him to Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad and had him executed. And now this is the other son, right? Qais ibn Ash'ath ibn Qais. So he addresses this person. He says, Qais ibn Ash'ath. Qais ibn Ash'ath says, we have no idea what you're saying. And in the Quran also, the people of Shu'aib, they said this, لا نفقه كثيرا مما تقول. We don't understand what you're saying. It doesn't make any sense to us. He's speaking completely clearly in the most clear, beautiful Arabic you can think of, citing very, very clear evidence that anyone understands. And these people, في آذانهم وقر. Right, it's like there are plugs in their ears from their own blindness. They've stuck their fingers in their ears and they say, I can't understand what you're saying. I can't hear you. They blinded themselves, they've deafened themselves, and their hearts are completely dead. He says, we have no idea what you are saying. You must simply submit. The only thing you can do, leave all this stuff aside, you must simply submit to the rule of your cousin Yazid. If you do, he will treat you in the best way, and no harm will come to you. And it's a similar promise that his brother had made to Muslim ibn Aqil. Imam Hussein told him, you are truly your brother's brother. You're just like your brother. Right? Imam Hussein knows his brother Muhammad, how treacherous he was. He says, do you want the Hashemites, the Banu Hashim, to take revenge on you and your family for more than Muslim ibn Aqil's death? Or you already have one of the Ahlul Bayt's blood on your hands because of your brother and his treachery. Do you want another one? Do you want a whole family of the Ahlul Bayt and the Banu Hashim on your hands? By God, I shall not lower myself to give you my hand in submission, nor shall I flee from you like an escaped slave, Imam Hussein says. Recite with salawat. I want to share with you two of the speeches that Imam Hussein had his companions give to these Kufans. Right? There's some of the companions who were extremely eloquent and had great status and standing in Kufa. And so the Imam has multiple intentions when he sends these people out. One of them, of course, is to do Itmam al-Hujjah on the Kufans, to let them know clearly where, what the truth is. Hopefully, like the Quran, وَنُصَرِّفُ, he says we do tasrif we give different examples and different kinds of ways of saying things, hoping that at least one of them will sink in. So Imam Hussein is doing the same thing. He's spoken himself. Now he sends his companions out one by one to address the Kufans, hoping that maybe one of them will strike a chord with these people. And if not, at least the Hujjah is complete. But from one of these speeches, it's also clear that the Imam has a very wise reason for sending these people out, because he wants them, his own companions, to reach a level of complete yaqeen, complete certainty that they're fighting pure evil and that they are on purely the right path. And that's so important. The Imam wants them to, not just the end doesn't justify the means. Right? He could just say, well, it doesn't matter if they know the truth or don't know the truth, they're fighting for me, what else do I want from them? He wants these people to fight with complete certainty, that knowing who the Imam is and who the enemy is, so that when they fight, they're fighting for the highest stakes, and they reach the highest reward as well. The first to go out is Zuhair ibn al-Qayn. He says, Ya Ahl al-Kufa, نَذَارِ لَكُمْ مِنْ عَذَابِ اللَّهِ. I warn you about the punishment of Allah. إِنَّهُ حَقٌّ عَلَى الْمُسْلِمِ نَصِيحَةُ أَخِيهِ الْمُسْلِمِ. He says, you have a right on me. Every Muslim has a right on his brother, that he does amr bil ma'ruf, nahi al munkar. He gives him good advice when he needs it. You're still my brothers, he says. وَنَحْنُ حَتَّى الْآنِ إِخْوَةٌ عَلَى دِينٍ وَاحِدٍ مَا لَمْ يَقَعْ بَيْنَنَا وَبَيْنَكُمْ سَيْفٌ. Until the first sword is drawn, until the first arrow is cast, we're still brothers, you, Kufans, and we. وَأَنْتُمْ لِلنَّصِيحَةِ مِنَّا أَهْلٍ. And accordingly, because of the brotherhood that exists between us, you deserve my good advice and my admonishment. فَإِذَا وَقَعَ السَّيْفِ انْقَطَعَتِ عِصْمَةً. وَكُنَّا أُمَّةً وَأَنْتُمْ أُمَّةً. But once the sword is drawn, then that's it. That's the end of it. Then you go your way and we go our way. لَكُمْ دِينُكُمْ وَلِيَ دِينِ. You'll be one ummah, separate from us, outside of the bounds of Islam, and we will be the ummah of Muslims. إِنَّ اللَّهَ ابْتَلَانَا وَإِيَّاكُمْ بِذُرِّيَّةِ نَبِيِّهِ مُحَمَّدٍ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَآلِهِ لِيَنْظُرَ مَا نَحْنُ وَأَنْتُمْ عَامِلُونَ. So he says, Allah has tested us and you through this Ahlul Bayt of His Prophet to see how we will interact with them, what we will do when he is gone, when the Prophet's gone, but the Ahlul Bayt are left. He's tested us in this way. إِنَّا نَدْعُوكُمْ إِلَى نَصْرِهِمْ وَخِذْلَانِ الطَّاغِيَةِ يَزِيدَ وَعُبَيْدِ اللَّهِ بْنِ زِيَادٍ. He says, the bottom line, my call to you is come over, help the family of the Prophet, help his son, and abandon Yazid and Ubaydullah. فَإِنَّكُمْ لَا تُدْرِكُونَ مِنْهُمَا إِلَّا سُوءًا عُمْرَ سُلْطَانِهِمَا. He says, as long as these two rule, Ubaydullah and Yazid, as long as they rule, you're not going to see anything but evil and hardship from them. You're never going to see all these promises and gilded sorts of things that they're giving you. You're never going to see any of that. لَيَسْمُلَانِ أَعْيُنَكُمْ وَيَقْطَعَانِ أَيْدِيَكُمْ وَأَرْجُلَكُمْ وَيُمَثِّلَانِ بِكُمْ وَيَرْفَعَانِكُمْ عَلَى جُذُوعِ النَّخْلِ وَيَقْتُلَانِ أَمْثَالَكُمْ وَقُرَّاءَكُمْ. He says that all you're going to see from these people, they're going to gouge out your eyes and to torture and punish. They're going to gouge out your eyes. They're going to chop off your arms and your legs. They're going to mutilate your bodies. They're going to raise you up on the gallows or on a cross and crucify you. They're going to kill the best of you and those who recite the Quran the best. And he says, I'm not just speaking, right? They've done this already. أمثال حجر ibn Adi وأصحابه وهانئ ibn Urwa وأشباهه. I think of these people who Muawiyah has already killed in this way, in the most gruesome of ways. Hujr ibn Adi, whom everyone knows in Kufa. He was one of the leaders of Kufa. Hani ibn Urwa, one of the leaders of Kufa. These people know these guys very well. They know their virtue. They know how close they were to the Ahlul Bayt. And they know how they were killed brutally and unjustly by Yazid and his father. What's their response? فَسَبَّوْهُ وَأَثْنَوْا عَلَىٰ عُبَيْدِ اللَّهِ بْنِ زِيَادٍ وَدَّعَوْا لَهُ. And the response of the Kufans is to curse Zuhair for saying all of this stuff and speak very badly to him, and they go off praising Ubaydullah and praying to Allah for His mercy and these kinds of things. وَقَالُوا لَا نَبْرَحُ حَتَّى نَقْتُلَ صَاحِبَكَ وَمَنْ مَعَهُ. They say, we're not going to leave you until we kill your master Hussein and everyone who's with him. أو نبعث به وبأصحابه إلى عبيد الله بن زياد سلما. Or if they submit, then we'll send them off to Ubaydullah so he can do with them as he wishes. فقال زهير عباد الله. He's still continuing in his nasiha, in his good intentions for them. عباد الله إن ولد فاطمة أحق بالود والنصر من ابن سمية. If you want to make a sensible choice, are you going to help the son of Fatima or the son of this prostitute Sumayya, who's Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad? فَإِن لَمْ تَنْصُرُوهُمْ فَأُعِيذُكُمْ بِاللَّهِ أَنْ لَا تَقْتُلُوهُمْ. If you're not going to help them, at least don't kill them. Run away. Just run away so at least you don't have their blood on your hands. At least abandon the battlefield. فَخَلُّوا بَيْنَ هَذَا الرَّجُلِ وَبَيْنَ يَزِيدَ. Let Imam Hussein go and face Yazid himself. See if Yazid has the courage to face Imam Hussein by himself. Why do we need all of us can leave? Let the two of them duke it out together. فَلَا عَمْرِي إِنَّهُ لَيَرْضَى مِنْ طَاعَتِكُمْ بِدُونِ قَتْلِ الْحُسَيْنِ. Right? Zuhair says that Yazid is not insistent that Hussein has to actually be killed. He'll be content and with even less than killing him. Just capture him and take him to Yazid and let them deal with their differences themselves. فَرَمَاهُ الشَّمْرُ بِالسَّهْمِ. And Shimr sees that his words might be having an effect on the Kufans, so he takes an arrow and he shoots it at Zuhair. وَقَالَ أُسْكُتْ أَسْكَتَ اللَّهُ نَعْمَتَكَ أَبْرَمْتَنَا بِكَثْرَةِ كَلَامِكَ. He says basically, shut up Zuhair. May Allah silence you. You've tired us by all of this excessive speech of yours. فقال زهير يا ابن البوال على عقبيه ما إياك أخاطب إنما أنت بهيمة. Zuhair also gets extremely angry at Shimr. He calls him all sorts of names. He says, you're the son of a father who urinated on his own heels. Right? Maybe it was a reference to some incident that had happened, or just a very low cut down. La iyaka ukhatib. I'm not speaking to you. You're a beast, he says. You're an animal. There's no humanity left in you. You're a beast. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the rest of them. Wallahi ma adhunnuka tuhkimu min kitabillahi ayatain. I don't think you even could recite 2 verses of the Quran, Shem. It says 2 verses, I bet you don't even have them memorized. فَأَبْشِرْ بِالْخِزِي يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ وَالْعَذَابِ الْأَلِيمِ. He says, I give you glad tidings, Shem, that you're going to be completely disgraced on the day of judgment, and you'll have immense and painful punishment on the day of judgment. Shem responds, he says, إِنَّ اللَّهَ قَاتِلُكَ وَصَاحِبَكَ عَنْ سَاعَةٍ. Momentarily, Allah is going to kill you and your master Hussein. فَقَالَ زُهَيْرٌ أَفَبِالْمَوْتِ تُخَوِّفُنِي. You're threatening me with death? فَوَاللَّهِ لَلْمَوْتُ مَعَهُ أَحَبُّ إِلَيَّ مِنَ الْخُلْدِ مَعَكُمْ. I'd much rather die with him than live in eternity with you. ثُمَّ أَقْبَلَ عَلَى الْقَوْمِ رَافِعًا صَوْتَهُ وَقَالَ عِبَادَ اللَّهِ لَا يَغُرَّنَّكُمْ عَنْ دِينِكُمْ هَذَا الْجَلَفُ الْجَافِي وَأَشْبَاهُ. And he turns to the rest of the Kufans and says, don't let this fool fool you with regards to the truth. فَوَاللَّهِ لَا تَنَالُ شَفَاعَةُ مُحَمَّدٍ قَوْمًا أَهْرَقُوا دِمَاءَ ذُرِّيَّتِهِ وَأَهْلِ بَيْتِهِ. He says, by God, the intercession of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ will never reach you if you meet him with the blood of his family and his children on your hands. وَقَتَلُوا مَنْ نَصَرَهُمْ وَذَبَّ عَنْ حَرِيمِهِمْ فناداه رجل من أصحابه إن أبا عبد الله يقول لك أقبل لعمري لئن كان مؤمن آل فرعون نصح قومه وأبلغ في الدعاء فلقد نصحت هؤلاء وأبلغت لو نفع النصح والإبلاغ. So a person from Imam Hussein's side comes out as a messenger to Zuhair in the middle of this, as the speech winds down, and he says, Abu Abdullah says, please come back. Right? He says, you've done a wonderful job. He says, just as the Mu'min Ali Fir'aun did such a great job admonishing his people, right, you've done a similar job admonishing these people. If only they had hearts and ears to listen. It's not your fault at all. It's completely their fault. You've done your job. Please come back. All right, one more short sermon from Burayd ibn Khudayr, and I'll finish off. So Imam Hussein next sends Burayd ibn Khudayr. He says, "Kallim al-qawm ya Burayd wansahhum." Go and speak to them. See what you can do. See if you can break through with them. فَتَقَدَّمَ بُرَيْرٌ حَتَّى وَقَفَ قَرِيبًا مِنَ الْقَوْمِ. So Burayd advances, going closer to the Kufan army to give them their speech, give them his speech. وَنَادَى يَا مَعْشَرَ النَّاسِ إِنَّ اللَّهَ بَعَثَ مُحَمَّدًا بِالْحَقِّ بَشِيرًا وَنَذِيرًا وَدَاعِيًا إِلَى اللَّهِ بِإِذْنِهِ وَسِرَاجًا مُنِيرًا وَهَذَا مَاءُ الْفُرَاتِ تَقَعُ فِيهِ خَنَازِيرُ السَّوَادِ وَكِلَابُهُ. He says, Allah sent the Prophet, and he praises Allah, praises the Prophet. Then he says this Euphrates, which is behind you, behind the army of the Kufans, he says that the pigs of Kufa are free to, the pigs and the dogs of Kufa are free to wallow in this water. وَقَدْ حِيلَ بَيْنَهُ وَبَيْنَ ابْنِ بِنْتِ رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أَفَجَزَاءُ مُحَمَّدٍ هَذَا. And here you are blocking the family of the Prophet from reaching that same water that the pigs and dogs are free to wallow in. He says, is this the reward and the thanks that you're giving Muhammad for his service to you? فَقَالُوا يَا بُرَيْدْ قَدْ أَكْثَرْتَ الْكَلَامِ فَاكْفُفْ عَنَّا. Again, they say, you're talking too much. Leave us alone. Stop talking. فَوَاللَّهِ لَيَعْطِشُ الْحُسَيْنِ كَمَا عَطَشَ مَنْ كَانَ قَبْلَهُ. They say, by God, Hussein will taste thirst the way people before him tasted thirst, indicating Uthman. And they've been brainwashed to think that somehow Imam Hussein and Imam Ali are implicated in the death of Uthman, when we know historically, clearly, without a shadow of a doubt, that they're the ones who were there to protect Uthman. They're the only ones left to protect Uthman. Everyone else wanted to kill him. Imam Ali sent Hassan, Hussein, Muhammad al-Hanafiya, and his own 3 sons to go take water to Uthman because he wasn't able to access water, and to protect him until the end. Right? And despite their protection, he was killed. They were in no way implicated in his death. Rather, they're the only ones who protected him. But they had been so brainwashed by Muawiyah and Yazid that people were blaming him and saying he's going to taste thirst the same way he made Uthman taste thirst. فَقَالَ لَهُمْ بُرَيْدٌ يَا هَؤُلَاءِ اتَّقُوا اللَّهَ فَإِنَّ ثَقَلَ مُحَمَّدْ قَدْ أَصْبَحَ بَيْنَ أَظْهُرِكُمْ. And the thaqalain, about which you know that the Prophet left behind, one of the thaqas are right here. The legacy is right here in front of you. He's appeared right, he's manifest right in front of you, Imam Hussein. هؤلاء ذريته وإترته وبناته وحرمه فهاتوا ما عندكم وما الذي تريدون أن تصنعوا بهم. They're right here in front of you. His family, his women, everyone is right here. He says, tell me, what do you want to do with them? فقالوا نريد أن نمكن منهم الأمير عبيد الله بن زياد فيرى رأيه فيهم. The Kufans say, what we want is to take them and put them in the custody of Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad, so he can do with them as he wishes. فقال برير أفلا ترضون منهم أن يرجعوا إلى المكان الذي أقبلوا منه. He says, that's not an option. They're not going to go to Ubaydullah. But won't you just let them go back to where they came from? Right? You're the ones who brought him here. Let him go back to where they came from, and we can call a truce. وينكم يا أهل الكوفة أنسيتم كتبكم إليه وعهودكم التي أعطيتموها من أنفسكم وأشهدتم الله عليها وكفى بالله شهيدا. So he says, Kufans, have you forgotten that you're the ones who sent these letters to him? Have you forgotten those letters that you yourselves wrote to him? Have you forgotten the promises and the pledges that you made to Muslim, his representative, that you were going to support him and fight for him and all of this? He says, حتى إذا أتوكم أسلمتموهم لعبيد الله. And when he finally came at your invitation and your request, you turn him over and give him over to Ubaydullah. وحلأتموهم عن ماء الفرات الجاري. And then you, not only that, but you barred him from the flowing water of the Furat, of the Euphrates. وهو مبذول يشرب منه اليهود والنصارى والمجوس وترده الكلاب والخنازير. You block him when Jews, Christians, Zoroastrians, and even dogs and pigs are free to drink from this water. بئس ما خلفتم محمدا في ذريته. And you've treated the progeny of Muhammad very, very badly after him. مَا لَكُمْ لَا سَقَاكُمُ اللَّهُ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ. May Allah not give you any drink on the Day of Judgment. فَبِئْسَ الْقَوْمُ أَنْتُمْ. You are the worst of people. فَقَالَ لَهُ نَفَرٌ مِنْهُمْ يَا هَذَا مَا نَدْرِي مَا تَقُولُ. Again, they say, we don't understand anything you're saying. We're completely deaf to anything that you're saying. It doesn't make any sense to us. فَقَالَ بُرَيْدَ الْحَمْدُ لِلَّهِ الَّذِي زَادَنِي فِيكُمْ بَصِيرًا. Right, so he reaches this level of basira and yaqeen now. He says, Alhamdulillah, that I now have complete certainty and yaqeen in my position and your position. And that's the wisdom of Imam Hussein sending Burair out there. Partly to help to break through with them and do itmam al-hujjah for the enemy, but also for his own soldiers to reach that level of yaqeen so they understand the truth of where they stand. Alhamdulillah alladhi zadani fikum basira. Allahumma inni abra'u ilayka min fi'ali ha'ula'i al-qawm. Allah, I wash my hands of anything that these people do. Allahumma alqi ba'sahum baynahum hatta yalqawka wa anta alayhim ghadban. He says, oh Allah, sow the seeds of enmity amongst them. So they have terrible civil war, enmity amongst themselves until they reach you and come before you, in which state you will be completely angry and furious with them. So with that, and several other speeches, Imam Hussein also gives another speech, there's multiple exchanges that the battle commences. It's first an all-out open war, afterwards, after the first a couple of battles, then they decide on having one-on-one combat, and we know many of those stories. The companions go out first. Hur ibn Yazid is the first to go out from the companions of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. One by one they go out to protect the family of Imam Hussein. When they are all killed by the enemy, Ali Akbar is the first of the Ahlul Bayt. Out of the 18 who are there to defend Imam Hussein, he's the first to go out. And then one by one, the Ahlul Bayt also go and are martyred. When Abbas was martyred, Hussein's backbone and support was gone. He was left alone in the midst of wild beasts. They were blind to everything but the prizes promised by Yazid and their age-old grudges from Nahrawan. Imam al-Hussein bid farewell to his family, telling them, prepare yourselves for hard journey. Know that God Almighty is your protector, and that He shall save you from the evil of your enemies. He shall bring you to good in the end, and He shall chastise your enemy with all sorts of punishment, and grant you in exchange for all the hardships you have endured, all sorts of blessings and kindness. So do not complain, and do not allow your tongues to say anything that will detract from your station. When Al-Hussein made for the Euphrates to reach the water, the Kufan army attacked him from all sides. Every time he came close, they drove him back. A soldier by the name of Abu al-Hutuf al-Ju'fi shot an arrow at him that struck him on his forehead. Al-Hussein wrenched the arrow from his forehead and blood began to flow down his face to his beard. He prayed to Allah, "O Allah, you see what I am subjected to by these sinful people. O Allah, take account of every one of them. Destroy each of them. Do not leave one of them on the face of the earth, and do not forgive them ever." With renewed strength, Imam Hussein attacked the Kufans like a lion. He struck down every man who faced him. He was pelted by arrows from every direction, and he took these in his chest and in his neck. He called out to them, "O evil people, you have treated Muhammad's progeny terribly. After killing me, you shall never fear killing another person. Rather, it will seem easy after having killed me. I beg Allah to ennoble me by disgracing you and by avenging me when you least expect it." Khawli ibn Yazid grabbed him and to behead him, but began to tremble. Upon seeing his weakness, Shimr ibn al-Jawshan approached Imam al-Hussein and with his dagger severed his head. Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdillah وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك عليك مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين.